Into the Donttap podcast.
Donttap podcast.
You do the process, the tape, the study, the narrative, the script.
And a little bit of a downfall from a champ.
When we're looking at value on the lines.
That definitely, I think, in some of the handicappers I talked to, has influenced the gambling line.
Appreciate that. I'm sorry what I'm gonna have to do to you in this little matchup we got.
Thank you. I was just saying, okay, enough niceties. Let's dig in.
He can pressure in the first, he can pressure in the second, and pressure in the third.
I'm Gentleman Josh Hill. I'm Aaron Jeffrey.
I'm Josh.
I'm Mike Malott.
I'm Rafian Scott.
Tune into Donttap
Donttap podcast.
Donttap podcast.
I'm Jonathan.
Follow me on Twitter.
Hey, I'm UFC President Dana White, and you're in the ring with Callum McGregor.
I hurt today because for those bettors that put the house on the man who's supposed to cash, remember once we said this about Israel Adesanya, and it did not happen last night. Alex Pereira could not pull the trigger. So as I digress and as we sort of lick our wounds for those that were on the Pereira side, I know that everybody on the panel here did pretty well leading up to the main event, and I know that Danny had a sneaky play on the main event he's going to talk about too. And without further ado, I got to introduce the third member on the panel today. We have Danny Betzz, the boxing fucking guru on here, the man that's going to break down not only MMA, but from a little bit of a boxing standpoint. He can really dissect things and look at the striking and how it could play out in an MMA fight. So I'm excited to have you on, Danny Betzz of Pub Sports Radio. Welcome to the show.
Shout out to you guys. I'm excited too. Yeah, I didn't do that great in the recap from the last fights last night, but excited to be on here. Ready to break down these fights. I'm actually surprised. I like a lot of spots on this fight. Taking my time on a few spots. Hint is on the main event, but we'll see.
Yeah, definitely some interesting spots. I mean, initially I'm looking at it going, tread lightly, but if you really are careful and find some good ones, just don't overspend this week, because there's going to be some people that can pretend that they know all about every fight on this card and can dissect all of these fighters. And I call bullshit. I call some bullshit. I don't care how many times you taped it. Some of these fighters appear differently in different fights on a regular basis. They're different versions of themselves. This is a mix mash. So just you find your spots, stick with your spots, stick to your guns. Don't waver too hard. Even with what we're bringing to the table for you today, stick to your guns. And of course, we got Billy Briz. Man, how we doing today, Billy?
I feel differently, Cal. It's the time of year. March is in the air, man. We got to come marching in. Time is of the essence. We got to go down to San Antonio 2 weeks from now. So I'm pressing just like if this was the pay-per-view from last week. I mean, some bad reads, good calls, some falls that we profited on. But we, as every good gambler says, we move on to the next week. The Santos one, it still feels like when talking about the fight, it feels like I lost, but I keep on forgetting I've lost on one Santos, one on the other, but ended up getting a gift from the MMA gods. But the MMA gods said, boy, you gonna need it, because a couple of those losses gonna come. But we ended up having a nice little main card, and then the nice little cherry on top, hashtag and new Ankle Live season. They didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to see it. But fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, I guess I'm an idiot. If we could copy and paste the line movement of the Merab Davashvili Sean O'Malley fight and put the exact type of handicap or market on it, it was just screaming Ankle Live is going to win this belt.
I'll be real with you. I went through stats and I broke it all down, and I looked at how his control time was. Most of his control time was like 11 minutes. So I thought if he got takedowns and he actually went that route, even still, we would have a Pereira on the feet that would land a lot of calf kicks and some big shots up top and have some either moments or get him out of there. And we just didn't see that. We saw amazing takedown defense. We saw no takedowns. We saw he was overhooking and shucking him up. He was doing a great job with that. But all in all, he wasn't pulling the trigger. And I told Danny, I rewatched the fight, and you could see at moments when Pereira got grazed, when he got hit, or when he didn't get hit. Every time that Ankle Live entered the pocket, he still reacted by planting his back foot to throw, but didn't fucking throw. So it's like so scared of getting hit or taken down, and I just don't understand, man. It hurt a little bit to watch.
Yeah,
I'm not a striker.
I want to ask Danny this: like, do you think that last night proved that combat sambo, like a lot of the Dagestanians come from like combat sambo traditions, is just a better mixed martial art than kickboxing? Because it looked like after Ankalaev checked the leg kicks in round 1, the fight was over.
I mean, yeah, just off that performance, you could either say yeah, but we were talking about it on stream. Remember, really, Ankalaev just did good mixing everything in. The striking, he had a perfect game plan, pressure him just enough for him to worry about the takedowns and, get a couple, strikes in here and there. But, and the leg kicks, like you said, like once the leg kicks, that was the only thing that was really being affected. That was out the window and he was having a lot of success. I mean, Ankalaev, shout out to him with a great game plan, in my opinion. But
just pressure. Yeah. Alex he made Alex second guess himself at all times, right?
Yeah. He's worried about the takedown, like you said.
Yeah, and Ankalaev, the only thing about combat sambo, the answer to that is what Justin Gaethje does. Justin Gaethje was of the weight class. It's that uppercut on the inside, because with combat sambo, you sort of fall into the fighter after you're striking in order to get that clinch game up and get something else going. So it would be that uppercut. But man, like I said, I'm a guy who's in my basement while my wife's upstairs with my kid, and I'm talking some shit with some guys from the United States about whatever, So what the fuck do I know? Pereira, he's allowed to have one fight where he has poor fight IQ or mental moment in the cage or whatever the fuck it was that happened last night. But all I know is I had a plus 900 parlay, a plus 370 parlay. I had a plus 130 from FanDuel. And when FanDuel boosts a fighter, you should probably stay off him.
Stay off.
Me and Billy talk about that all the time, bro.
Yes, bro. Yes.
They boost Kansas City Chiefs. Stay off them.
Yeah, but sometimes I'll be honest though. I want to say every Pereira fight, he's always got a boost. So
yeah, I know.
Obviously, cash. Yeah,
I know. It's Adesanya was someone that we would cash on those for a while, and then we started losing on them, and it was like it felt like you could never win those bonuses.
Yeah,
but it always feels too good to be true when you're looking at a Pereira line at minus 115, licking your lips, and then you get it at plus 130. Then you're like, "Fuck, what's wrong?"
That's
here?
a big difference. Yeah, if it
it's
was
like, what's wrong here?
Yeah. For sure.
All right, guys. So we've sort of recapped the bad taste in my mouth when it comes to Alex Pereira. But all in all, great fight card. I enjoyed a lot of the fights. It was a lot of good spots. And for those of you that stayed off Jalen Turner, hats off to you. I talked a lot of people off. Let's dig in, because I could rant forever. Let's dig into round number 1. Let's have the guest of the week jump in here with his nice little 2-piece parlay I like, man. I'm liking it, and I want to hear what your breakdown is and justification for it. It is early in the week, earlier takes, so we might not have got full tape or stats or whatever, but I know Danny's on point, already got his plays out.
Yeah, I really, like I said, at first, glancing on this card, man, I was like, man, this is going to be a tough card. But breaking it down, going back to the tape and some of the stats and things like that, Billy knows me, man. I used to, back in the day, do a lot of these 2-leg parlays, had success, didn't have success. And I finally, stopped doing them. Because consistently, they're not going to hit all the time, you know what I mean? So more straight bets, more props. But here, I love this 2-legger.
To respect to you, man, a 2-piece parlay in MMA, even if it's around minus 150 to minus 125, I like those motherfuckers.
Yeah,
so
those
I'm
are the
okay
ones.
with you running those with those 2 plays you really absolutely love. So the only thing I end up doing is double down on them with some props in the parlay, and I screw myself sometimes. But I digress.
Same. I used to do those little, round props. Sometimes I still do them, but like I used to do it all the time, and it was just giving away money. Like it was just giving away money. But yeah, I like the 2 debutants from a Contender Series. You got the heavyweight. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'll be honest. It's like Nurgurhai or something like that.
I know exactly what you mean, Dara. But I'm
careful with that one, homie.
I'm gonna say Gaz. I'm gonna say Gaz because there's a Gaz in between, his name or whatever. But he's a southpaw, really, really good striking. He's really well rounded. I really like his game, and he's fighting Ribeiro. That's super like mid, like low level to me, in my opinion. I think this is a setup fight. I think he can win in multiple ways. Like, I definitely think he's gonna get a KO probably late in this fight. And my second piece is gonna be Rahelos. Rahelos is another great striker. I love how he digs into the body. You know, like Cal said, I love my boxing. So once I see you digging into the body, like Joshua Van that we just saw yesterday, love that. Good stamina, breaks you down. The only thing with him that I'm worried about is his grappling, but I think he's gonna get better. You know, he's a young guy; he's gonna get better overall. But that's another setup fight for me, and that 2-leg is gonna get you -143. But I will hop on that ASAP because it's going up. The prices are going up. I think it's at -150 now or 155. But that's my biggest bet for the card. I think they both get it done pretty easily, in my opinion, man. I really hate like betting on debutants. And look at me, I have 2 of them in my 2-leg parlay. You know, I know Billy knows that because but one thing I like to cap is this is at the Apex. So they've been there, done that. You know, they're familiar with that. I like to fade it. And I didn't pull the trigger on Diaz. But, you know, these guys coming from Contender Series, pay-per-view, big crowd, and they're the big favorite. Like Steele, I faded Steele in that one, the one card. I didn't pull the trigger with Diaz, but I like these 2 fighters to get it done. And at this price, I'm waiting. I'm cool with the chalk. It's not even that much, -143. So I think it gets it done.
That's a great point, though, man. You bring up the fact that, you know, they're at the Apex, and it's something that I never really even talked about or highlighted. But the fact that if you've been at the Apex a couple of times, there's not really a big crowd. You know, there's a handful of people there, families of the fighters and whatever else. And if you've been there a couple of times, you walk through, you've met the people, you've done the process, you're a lot more comfortable. So there's a little bit more less of a, I always call it like the UFC under the lights level check, because it's not quite there as much, right? So that's a great point. Billy, what do you think about the 2-piece parlay? Debutantes, for me, I'll dig into a little bit of it, but what's your take on the parlay?
Yeah, I'm right there with Danny, though, on the Dana White Contender Series kid from Kyrgyzstan. I'm just going to say Dara. I remember he was on the Dana White Contender Series, and everybody had a lot of questions about him. And the fight that kind of really sold me was the Emiliano Sordi fight. Emiliano Sordi, former PFL champion. He went in there, and this was Emiliano Sordi's first fight outside of PFL. And he flatlined him. Granted, Emiliano Sordi's chin isn't what it used to be, but I thought that was a good feather in his cap. Of like Emiliano Sordi was a very good fighter in his prime, and I think that is a level that he can definitely be. Is Brenton Barberio? This is like a knockout, like on a silver platter, waiting to happen. And then the Kevin Vallejos one. Shouts to Liam. Had a couple of tweets with him and Kevin Vallejos during the Gene Silva fight week. Because that was Gene Silva's Dana White Contender Series fight. It was fighting Kevin Vallejos, and they put on a Strikers Classic. And he ended up taking the L in that one. Crazy that he went to the decision with Gene Silva. And, like, in hindsight, bro, who the fuck's going to decision with Gene Silva nowadays? And that wasn't that long ago. That was only 2023 because when I was in West Virginia when that fight happened. I think he's looked pretty good. Like the Cam Teague kid that he fought in the Dana White Contender Series has really good pressure, pace, and cardio. And he was able just to get him the fuck up on out of there in the first round like he wasn't. Like he was just another jobber in the street. I think Kevin Vallejos could definitely get the job done against Suboy Choi. Suboy Choi used to be one of those guys that you thought was going to be like a dark horse in the division, but his chin, man, is just not there, man. He's taking bad shots in these fights, and he's just going down. Steve Garcia obviously was able to get the knockout in his last one, but it was really the Michael Trezano one that made me not really fuck with Suboy Choi. Yeah, he beat Gennaro Aarons, but it's really not that good of a win. I'm actually shocked he still signed to the promotion. 4-6 record. I don't like his durability. I don't like his chin. Price tag's a little bit wide, but it's not wide if he's going to get a knockout. So, it's one of those ones. Like, yeah, it's -400. I think I'm going to pick him to win, but, I'm not going to parlay him or anything like that. Motherfucker, the money's right there. Like, Kevin Vallejos is going to win by knockout.
It's one. Like they all yesterday.
Yeah, Leal yesterday, bro. Right there. Like, silver spoon. I'm right there with Danny. I think that 2-leg cashes. It's crazy that Danny bought that 2-leg to the table because that was the 2-leg I was looking at. I guess great minds think alike, or Danny put on the chalk hat and what's the 2 chalkiest legs without picking? Oh boy, gets Bryce Mitchell's cousin at -1,000.
Yeah, I mean, I like. I think on the DR side, you're looking at, if I'm saying that right, DR, however you want to say it. We'll call it Nurmagomedov. I'll call him Nurmagomedov. The volume are both about the same, but his striking differential is a little bit better. But that's only based off one fight in the UFC. I don't know as much about him, but I do know that Bredson Ribeiro is a fade. The guy overthinks in the cage, doesn't really have the talent level, tenses up when he's throwing his punches, and he'll gas out those arms. So a lot of that power fades away really quick. So I think the volume and the power on the other side is going to be an issue for him. So once again, not too dialed into that fight, so don't take everything I'm saying on that one as much. Choi doesn't wear damage well, though I do like his striking. I think he's going to be behind in the volume, and I think he's either going to lose a decision where he's lost big moments and volume, and or does get out of there late. So I definitely see an edge in that one 100%. A little bit ignorant in the first one, but Ribeiro for me is a giant fade. So definitely like what you're picking up what you're putting down on the parlay, and we'll take a look at that when we build a team parlay later, where we can see where the value is and pairing. So, okay, I'm going to. I guess I got to let Billy start off with the main event. I know both of us are taking a look at this one. It's a fight that's happened before. The numbers are just staggering for me. The line is confusing, but you take it away, and then I'll come in with my thoughts in the end.
Yeah, I'll give a very vanilla breakdown of it. I like Marvin Vettori here in this spot against Roman Dolidze. Just feels like he has more tools in the toolkit to use against Roman Dolidze. The one thing that I would say about Marvin Vettori is he's kind of in a weird spot in the division. It kind of feels like he's a little bit stagnant, or like there's a stalemate in the rankings here. And this is just a fight to keep him active. It kind of feels like, it's a rematch that nobody asked for. It's in the Apex, but it's a card littered up with prospects that they're probably going to try to package up for the summer for some highlight reels and some pay-per-view. So I think Marvin Vettori just falls in line here and keeps his place here in the division. He keeps his ranking over Roman Dolidze. Shouts to Roman Dolidze, though. Put a lot of cash in our pockets throughout the years, especially against Kevin Holland in his last one. But I don't think I'm going to be betting him here. I'm actually shocked by the betting line because Marvin Vettori was like minus 275. Now it's like minus 150. Granted, that fight was pretty close, even though he won by, I believe it was a unanimous decision. But I do remember that fight playing out a little bit closer than I thought it was because I had Marvin Vettori in parlays. So I'm probably going to bet like Marvin Vettori to win and fight to start round 2, or Marvin Vettori to win and fight to start round 3. One of those type of props on this one to kind of like eliminate the juice to get even odds. Like I don't mind the minus 150, but damn, I'm just going to bet if I can.
There's like minus 140. I think there's a minus 138 out there too.
Yeah, but you know how this game goes, Daddy. By Wednesday, these lines are going to look completely different than the time of this recording.
Yeah.
There is one thing I got to look into, and I haven't looked into yet. And this is one of my, we'll say, top spots early in the week until I can fully dig into this last thing. We have Vettori, who hasn't fought since 2023. So for me, that's what's that?
Who's he gonna fight? He's in a weird spot. Like he can't go up, can't go down, can't sell a pay-per-view. So what the fuck?
He had some type of
injury. I get it. I think it's the time off. That's why the line is the way it is. That's got to be it. I can't think anything else. If you look at it, the last time these two fought, I'm pretty sure that I was on the Dolidze side of it because I was pretty pissed during the fight. Vettori landed 106 significant strikes, and Dolidze landed 71. There was no takedowns. I don't even think there was a takedown attempted. So for this fight, it's just going to be a guy who's got a brick head, who's never been finished. We have Vettori, who's never been finished in his UFC career, never been submitted, pro career, never been knocked out. So, and the market right now has this at about minus 215 to go the distance. So that line's going to get wider. And as the market's telling me the fight goes the distance, we're going to go with volume. And even if Dolidze does get a takedown or two, I don't think he gets a submission. So what are we going to go with? Volume with power? Because that's what we have on the side of Vettori. Or do we go with Dolidze, who's just power, who's going to fade as we go into the fight? So it just seems like a no-brainer. The time off, I hope what you're saying is true. He just didn't really have a fight lined up. But 2 years is a decent amount of time. I know one thing that's funny about this fight is when Vettori took this fight, he didn't even realize, he thought it was Roman Kopylov. He didn't think it was Roman Dolidze. So he thought he signed a contract for fucking Roman Kopylov. Or they were about to sign a contract for Roman Kopylov, and he agreed to it. And yeah, it was Roman Dolidze. So he's. I mean, it makes sense. Go back into the fight against a guy who you already beat, who's gained more value since you fought him last. So makes sense to me. The under 2.5. The over 2.5, like I said, is at minus 215. We'll see where that line goes. I may even parlay up that. But I mean, the one play that I've sort of piggybacked off of Billy in the past, and now it's become a play for me, is you pick your money line and your fight starts round 2.
I'm gonna change
nice and
that,
simple.
though. I'm gonna change that though, because you're definitely right. This is gonna be an over fight. We just watched Potan and Magomed. This might be Marvin Vettori
Main event.
round 4 or 5 or by decision. You're definitely like
That's not bad. But I mean, I would even like Vettori and fight to start round 3 and sit right there with it. That's nice and safe for me. But yeah, man, for the spot, it's just one of those things. The line seems a little bit off unless I see something online where I dig in and find out Vettori's been, I don't know, doing some crazy shit or injured in the past or whatever the fuck it is. This line stays the same for me. I'm smashing the shit out of it. So Marvin Vettori main event spot. I think we're both in agreement on that one. Danny brings a solid ass parlay, and you guys will never know it because I'm going to edit the shit out of this. But man, that was a hard round to get through. That'll bring me to round number 2. For round number 2, we're going to let Billy bring his spot to the table. And then, Danny, I know you and I are sort of aligned in at least the fight that we want to talk about. So we're going to all hash into that after. Billy, you bring your second spot to the table.
Yeah, this one's a little bit of a risky one here. We're going to try to – I like the money line, obviously, but, you know, it's early in the week. Lines aren't all officially out. I'm definitely eyeing up Damon Blackshear by submission this weekend. He's going to be favored by, like, minus 200 by, like, decision. He's going to beat fucking Cody Gibson's ass. And I definitely think the submission's in the cards of, like, he's been just looking for finishes ever since he got that Montel Jackson loss. Fighters either just come back like Jalen Turner and, like, you're thinking about retirement, or you come back trying to whoop somebody's ass. And he's with the lighter route of trying to whoop somebody's ass. And he's done a really good job of it. Cody Stamian's a guy that always goes to the decision. So I was pretty shocked that he was able to get the submission in that one. Maybe it's a little bit recency bias with him getting the twister, then the rear naked choke in his last couple of wins. But I feel like these boys, when I think of this matchup against Cody Gibson, I feel like Cody Gibson's not going to be afraid to go in the ground because he's the ground specialist himself. And if these boys are rolling on the ground for a little bit, I think that's how this fight probably ends up. One of those ones where we'll see where the prop line comes out. But what are your guys' thoughts on Damon Blackshear, maybe submission by decision and the submission prop rounds 1 and 2?
I think if you go with the decision in there as well, too, is probably a little bit safer bet. The only reason is the idea of Leo last week. So with Leo, I was like on Leo decision because I was trying to give our man a little bit of respect, saying it might go to decision. And the reason why I got there is because I looked at a wide-ass line, and I was trying to get clever with how I wanted to attack a wide-ass line. And that's exactly it, right? So I thought, oh, I see this, and this might happen. Ronald's fucking soft, man soft. So anyways, that's the only thing about this one that scares me. I agree with you on the Blackshear submission. It definitely is on the table. But with the line being so wide, I'm going to feel like an idiot if I hit the submission prop and or whatever it might be, and it's just whatever I hit doesn't hit because the line's so wide. So that's the only reason why I'm personally going to stay off, because last week I got a little bit burnt with throwing that Leo play together right before the fight and did not play out. So for me, Blackshear's aside, most definitely. I think that he's going to be able to get some takedowns. I can see an arm triangle set up. Like, it's just sort of how he sets up his grappling on the ground. He winds up in that position with the striking as well, too. We see certain fighters get to that position. So for me, I like it, but I might honestly play this live. And if Gibson has even a little bit of success, I might smash Blackshear even if it's chalk, just because I think he's going to win this fight no matter what. And I'll just get whatever value I can. But for me, I'm off it just because the line's too goddamn wide.
Yeah, minus 400 in the Damon Blackshear.
I mean, I agree with both of you guys. But yeah, I'll probably stay away, even though, you know, I think he's, you know, parlayable if you're that type of chalk, you know, hunter and things like that. But yeah, I definitely could see a submission too, like you're saying, Billy. But I'm torn too, like Kyle. So I'll probably pass on the fight, maybe throw him in a little parlay for fun. But that's about it. Maybe the round props, you know, if they're big enough, maybe sprinkle a little bit on the sub, specifically sub round 2 or something like that. But yeah, Blackshear is definitely inside.
Like, these guys have this like enough of a sample size in the UFC. You can talk about some numbers, but it's sort of crazy. The reach is 72 and 71. Blackshear's got a 1-inch edge. The volume, Blackshear pretty much has a 1 strike per minute edge on Gibson. So they're pretty much virtually identical. In Blackshear landing about 4 strikes per minute and Cody Gibson landing about 3. Takedowns, they're just over 2 takedowns, and they both have 68% takedown defense. So, yeah, both have wins and losses, a mixed bag. The line is too wide as far as I think at this level, but at the same time, I still see Blackshear winning. But I just don't see him definitively winning inside the distance, which is what is suggested in the line right now. So for me, I'm off it, but I fully respect the play, and I do think he is a parlay piece. But I'm just going to try to get some value live. But that is me. So next spot, I know that both you and I are looking, Danny, at a female fight on the card. And I might find myself actually to a spot. And unfortunately, we might be on opposing ends of this one. But I also was looking at a time prop, and that probably will be where I end up. But I'll let you jump into this one, bring your second spot to the table.
Yeah, this card. If you've been following me, you know this is not me, man. I got 2-leg parlay. I got an underdog in a women's fight, which I really don't like betting women's fight all like that. Billy knows, and if I do, it's gotta be an underdog, unless I'm super confident, like, you know, with the favorite. But this line popped out real quick for me. Like, you got Nunes and Cachoeira both losing 2 in a row. They're fighting for their jobs right now. So, you know, you're probably going to see the best from both of these chicks. And for me, like, plus 180, like, wow for me. Cachoeira, I know everybody.
That goes wider, man. You might get that wider later in the week. So
no, it's going down. It was plus 185.
Don't wait.
It's 170 is dropping. I hopped on it real quick because I this is a pick'em. It should be a pick'em in my opinion. I know people call her catch a beating, which is true, but she just fought.
She is, man. That's striking differential.
She fought your girl, bro. Jasmine. She just fought Maverick.
She murdered her.
Yeah, Maverick.
Yes.
So in my eyes, those two losses are way better than Nunez's losses.
Yeah, and the takedowns too. You're like, it's takedowns versus you're gonna have a stand-up battle with power. So I fully see it.
I like the striking numbers here when we talk about the stats. The only thing is the defense for Cachoeira, but you know, she's gonna be the bigger girl. Nunez is actually gonna have a little bit of a reach, and but I think Cachoeira is gonna be a war, and I think I know where you're going with, and I could see like the under or something like that in this fight, especially with.
I don't know, dude. That's what I want to talk to you guys about.
Oh, okay,
I don't know.
Then that's perfect. Okay,
let's see where this value lies. It's actually a good conversation to have because let's look at this. It's going to be a stats thing versus how you think this matchup plays. And follow me on this. You got Nunes and Cachoeira. Both have never been. We don't have finishes here, right? So we don't have on their end. So Cachoeira has never been knocked out. She's only been submitted, right? So Nunes more submissions. So what are we looking at? Are we going to look at a takedown to a submission? Does she fall into an arm triangle? Maybe, maybe. But I'm not looking at a submission on the side of Nunes. So then you're looking at the striking battle. And if you look at both these girls have hard fucking heads and will land big shots and bleed and do whatever. And it could be a bang. I told you this could be banger of the night, a fight of the night. And I just see this potentially going over with the stats, with everything that's staring me in the face. But that striking differential is crazy. If you look at the striking, Nunes is 5-5 roughly. She lands 5 and she absorbs 5 a minute. And man, Cachoeira 3.5 strikes landed per minute, absorbs 7 per minute. Now, don't get me wrong. The one thing you have to look at, don't ever just look at the strike differential and look at those stats and think that's it. Go and look at fight by fight. Some fights will be astronomically wide, and that's why the strike differential jumps. So for me, I'm looking at a time prop here. The under is set at 2.5 at plus 130. So I'm thinking that the fight goes the distance, probably going to be around even money, maybe minus 110. And if that's the case, I think this fight could be over. I think, but that's with the numbers. But then when I look at them and I look at the strike differential, this is where I start looking at the Nunes side. She's got the reach. She's got the southpaw stance. And when she lands, like Cachoeira doesn't take punches well. It's hard. To get to the money line, I don't know if I can, but I think I may hit an over on this one, man. What do you guys think about that? Like I'm looking at the numbers, they're staring me in the face, and I just don't know if I can see this fight finishing. But I don't know. Does Cachoeira get knocked out? Does Nunes get knocked out?
I don't want to fuck around with the time props because I'm with Danny, bro. I think I don't want to sound like the guy. Me and Danny agreed a lot because we usually are arguing the whole time.
That's a good sign, bro. Because usually when we're
beating, beat this bitch's ass, bro. Why? Yo, I'm calling cap on them saying that Nunes has a 67-inch reach. When you see these two girls stand at the scales on weigh-ins on Friday,
Pretty astronomical.
Priscilla Cachoeira is going to look like she's in a way different weight class than Estela Nunes. So then off of that alone, she's gonna have just a really easy time in the striking exchanges, it feels like. Granted, she gets punched in the face, but there's a clear level.
It doesn't equate good in striking, homie. This is where I get to cut you off sometimes. And in the show, we do this, and I'm going to cut you the fuck off for a minute. In striking, if I'm power puncher, I want you taller than me. I'm going to land on your chest. I'm going to aim for your chest and punch you in the chin. So, yeah, no, that's not good. But the size might be good if she gets it dirty. She gets in close and grabs her.
That's a Priscilla Cachoeira.
I think that's exactly what she's gonna do. Yeah,
that's literally a Priscilla. It's not cute. It's not. This is not a cigar or anything like that. But yo, Priscilla. I was when I looked at the lines for the card or whatever. I'm glad Danny sent this in because I was honestly like flabbergasted that she was lined as an underdog.
I figured out how I'm gonna play it. I know how I'm gonna play it. I'm not on the Nunes side. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hit that over and stick to my guns on it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it live. Cachoeira is going to catch a beating in that first round, and I'm going to play this live because she is a vet, and I will play the level check on this. She fought the champ, right? She fought Shevchenko. She's been around forever, right? She's been a little bit of the, I want to say the stress doll of the division, been beaten up by everybody. But, I mean, that still has value. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's like under the light, she's been there and done that. And Josie Nunes, although she has as well too, later in fights, she does sort of fade. And if you're on a Nunes ticket, you're like, shit, is she going to get this going? What's going on? So, yeah, I might look at it live, but I'm going to hit the over on it. That's it. That's what I'm doing.
Clear and a half, though, of like, bro, she's fought Bay Malecki, Ramona Pasquale, Zara Faram, Chelsea Chandler, and Kawakami.
Yeah, I don't get it.
No, I get it.
Take my money. It is what it is. I got to pull the trigger.
It's a level check. It is a level check. Like, as far as you look from that angle, I agree.
I do agree with you, though, Cal, but I'm just having a hard time. Obviously, I already bet the underdog. Because the only reason is because when I see two fighters fighting each other, especially this type of styles, and they're both have 2 losses in a row fighting for their jobs, I had that with Durden and Schnell, and I smashed the under. Especially those two guys,
That's a great
and that was like minus 120.
Oh, man, that's a good point.
This one, I think, I'm with you. I think it could sneak over because everybody recency bias. You see Cachoeira getting finished in her last 2 losses, but Nunes has been durable the last 2 losses. And she hasn't got knocked. She hasn't got knocked out, Cachoeira, only by sub. So I do like the over.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be 2 girls that are just gonna wear damage and just you're gonna be like, how the fuck are they still standing?
Yeah.
I think this could be honestly, man. I think it's gonna be one of the fights of the night. You're gonna be like,
it's gonna be sweaty.
There's some people talking shit about it, and I'm like, what?
No, style wise, I always tell that with people. I rather like people were shitting on Marquez and Brundage. I'm like, oh my god, bro, this fight is gonna be insane. Like I get everybody's criticizing.
I smashed that one.
I'm like co-main event. I get it, whatever name wise, but the style and the performance of this fight is gonna go be wild. And we saw the one of the best first rounds we've seen all year.
I made a whole lot on that one. So I was all over the under on that one, and I wrote out all these stats on Marquez and all of his fights under 1.5. All of the stats on your boy, Mr. Dummy in the cage. It wasn't so dumb there. He looked good in the cage that night. I had him in round 1. I had Brundage round 1.
He was smart because he spit out his mouth guard.
Yeah, lucky.
Well, that was mouth guard gate a little bit. That was a little bit of Pereira-ish type situation. But whatever, man. That was a fun fight. Fight. So yeah, it's a good fight comparatively because it's 2 car wrecks, and we're looking at 2 female car wrecks. So, I think I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna pull the trigger on the over, maybe even parlay it over 1.5. See where the value is there. We'll see how I want to attack this one, but it was one I really wanted to talk about because it just looks like it's gonna be fun. And I just like bringing up Cachoeira because I just look back at Jasmine just getting up off top of her. She's
beating her ass
everywhere. Need her. Yo, I'm telling you, Jasmine.
Bro, of like
the next fight's got me excited.
She was fighting all grapplers and stuff like that.
I think Cachoeira could sneak in a takedown too.
I think Cachoeira can knock her out. Granted, Nunes doesn't drop or anything like that.
Cachoeira turns this into a grappling match and gets it to the ground and starts to land some shots up top. Even if she does rinse repeat and does that, that's a smart game plan, man, for sure. That's where that size is going to be huge. Yeah. Like
that's why
Nunes won't be able to get off bottom at the end.
That's why I bring up the resume for Jocelyn Nunes, bro. The girls that she's fighting, none of those girls got knockouts, bro, at all. Ramona Pasquale ain't knocking out nobody. Bae Malecki ain't knocking out nobody. She hasn't fought since they fought. I love Cavalcanti, but she ain't knocking out nobody, bro. So
and Cash Vera has only been knocked down twice in her UFC career, once by Bae Malecki and then once by Jasmine Jasdavicius, which we didn't see coming, but happened. So, but yeah, all right. So let's move into the third round. So the third round for me is a spot that I'm going to more talk about. I don't really have a full definitive line on it I want to talk to you guys about. So I'll go last likely on this one. Let's let Danny lead off with this one. Bring your last spot to the table. I know you got two dogs, a female fight, and a two-piece parlay. You sound like me, homie. But go on. Welcome to the Donttap podcast.
I surprised myself. Like I said, man, I like a lot of spots here. Going back real quick to the main event, I really like Vettori. If you look at the stats,
my bad.
Every single numbers, all the numbers are on his side. Better volume, better cardio. Give me him all day. But yeah, I'm going with another underdog in this one. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. This is another line I looked at. I'm like, man, this is too wide in my opinion. And I remember watching his last fight. He actually threw a ton of volume, which we don't see often with him. His cardio looked great. The clinch, the knees, he threw probably like 50, 60 knees, bro. It was something insane to keep up that pace, having that clinch, doing the body work with the knees. And against Dos Santos, Selecki here, I know he's a dangerous fighter. He's got the grappling advantage too. But I think Chitty's got better with his get-up game. He's going to have a big reach advantage. The striking stats are on his side too. And I think at plus money, it's plus 162. I had to take a shot. I like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang get it done. I don't know if it's going to be a knockout. One stat I did like too, going back to the decision prop too, I might sprinkle a little bit because I think he's like 12-3 on decisions. Selecki's like 6 and it's a bad number, but he's got like 6 split decisions too. So he always fights close in these fights. I think it's 6 split decisions and like 13 of his decisions. So that's, pretty much half. So give me the guy that has the arm reach, the more power in the clinch. Now he's adding volume. I think he's a late bloomer now. Like he's over here looking better than ever, in my opinion. Plus odds all day. I'm gonna take this shot with Chitty Chitty Bang Bang to get it done by knockout or decision.
Yeah, Andrew Kawani's somebody that I was big on coming out of the Dana White Contender Series and did well on, and then was riding it, and then he sort of just fell off the fucking face of the earth at one point. Gets dusted, and now he's bounced back. That last performance is ridiculous. The volume that he put out was just fun to watch. It sort of reminded me of Cannonier out of the blue when Cannonier threw a bunch of volume in one fight not too long ago. Yeah, I mean, I like Andrew Kawani, but at the same time, Dos Santos, if he makes it a little bit, he can make it a little bit dirty. But I mean, even Andrew Kawani's clinch game isn't bad, man. His knees and his elbows from inside aren't bad at all. And even his grappling on the cage, his dirty boxes, it works. So I sort of stayed off this one, man, because I could see it going both ways. I'm just going to maybe enjoy this one, may hit a live spot on this. I do lean the Chitty side with this one. I think that, both guys have a level of competition that they face that they could be considered vet status, at least at this point. Andrew Kawani obviously coming out of Bellator and having a little bit of time out there. But yeah, I don't know. Styles-wise, I think that the reach is going to be a huge issue for Dos Santos. It's 7 inches, I believe it is, or 8 inches, 7 inches. Yeah. But yeah, it's real long. And the one thing is, Chitty, when he commits to it, can actually utilize it well. But every once in a while, you hear his brother, right? You hear Anthony just yelling at him because he's just not listening. He's just not pulling the trigger on what he's supposed to pull, when he's supposed to pull it. So you hear older brother in there yelling at him, trying to figure it out. So that's the only thing that has paused with Chitty for me. But I do like the Chitty side on this, and it's gonna be a fun one to watch, man. Billy, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I'm just gonna try to enjoy this one as a fan, but I was kind of shocked that they're putting minus 200 damn near on Elijah Zaleski. Because minus 188 on Bet365 is basically minus 200 everywhere else. So I don't know. I'm just gonna stay off the co-main. I don't have a good read on that one, but Danny's kind of selling me a little bit. I think that could be
Chitty Bang Bang.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang Boom.
Yeah, I just have to do it. He's got good takedown defense. So like he doesn't really use, he doesn't get a ton of takedowns or anything like that. And like Kyle was saying, I do see that fight like this. Like the clinch work is gonna get dirty. I think it's gonna be a close decision, and give me the plus odds all day. And he loses a lot of splits. You're on mute, Kyle.
Okay, Billy, for your spot in round 3, let's go.
Yeah, this prop isn't out yet, but I'm gonna do some linear thinking because the bantamweight fights are usually set at 2.5 totals, and I'm gonna try to take advantage of just a little bit of recency bias. Josias Musasa making his UFC debut against Carlos Vera. That fight screams like somebody's getting fucking finished. Of like the dude that he fought in the Dana White Contender Series for Musasa was like some Georgian wrestling guy, and it went to a split decision. Granted, it was the only fight in his whole entire career that basically went out at like 7.5 minutes. He's usually like smoking people early in these fights, but he had to be a little bit more conscientious of the game plan because the threat at the takedowns was just kind of a similar matchup that he's going to have here against Carlos Vera, who's kind of fallen on the wrong side of the stick here in his UFC debut against Rinya Nakamura, a wrestling-based type of style. That fight kind of sucked. It was a while ago, but that fight kind of sucked. Carlos Vera looked good, but I think he's gonna go submission or bust here. Is what I'm getting towards. He's got to go for a submission here to win this fight. I don't think he's going to win a volume-based. I don't think he can win a volume-based decision. I don't think he's going to be able to get enough control time across 15 minutes. So he's going to have to try to get the fight towards to the ground and try to expose this kid's ground game because he's definitely a little bit green. Like it's easy to teach somebody to take down defense and how to get up from a takedown and what to do to get up from a takedown. But submissions, once the hand goes around your neck, that's when you start seeing the levels between a black belt and a person that doesn't grapple from Africa. But I think the kid's going to win by a knockout in round 1. But just in case, be a little bit more safer in these debutantes. And
Wait a minute. Are you trying to say they don't have a good jiu-jitsu program in Africa?
I just level of Carlos Vera.
Billy's going to his roots.
I ain't touching that shit. I'll just stay over here on this side of the border. Yeah, for that one, I'm just going to be really honest with you. I'm going to plead complete ignorance because I haven't even looked at the fight. There's some newcomers. I haven't, like, as soon as I even look at their faces and start to watch tape, I'll remember, have that vividness bias, and then dig into some stats. This is a fight I don't want to even talk about because I'll be speaking out of my ass like I used to when I first started this podcast. So I'll let Danny jump in and let him sort of dissect this one for you.
This is pretty simple for me. One thing I did see, I remember watching, how you pronounce it, Musasa, and Contender Series, Billy and the guys from Pub Sports. And one thing I said, I'm like, Musasa is one of those type of fighters, like, he's green, but if he gets the right training, bro, he's going to be dangerous. He's already dangerous. Like, I think this is such a setup spot, bro. He's going to knock him the hell out, in my opinion, bro. Like, I'm pretty confident. I don't know how to attack it, like, betting-wise, but I really think he's going to knock him out. I know you're going a little bit safer, which I respect for sure, but I definitely think he's going to knock him out. Southpaw, big power in his hands. Good defense. I like his striking defense too. He's only got 45% for Vera, so he's probably gonna catch him. But he did get caught a little bit too much with the volume. But he's got a crazy chin. You can just tell. But Vera's not dangerous when it comes to that, bro. This is gonna be a setup spot. They want this guy to knock this guy out again, get another highlight reel, and hopefully get even better and move up maybe in the rankings. You never know, but I don't think he's a top 15 guy yet.
The funniest was on the Dana White Contender Series, Cal. There's a moment in the 3rd round where he had better cardio than Merab's boy, and Merab's boy was able to take him down. And when he reversed the position, because he was so strong, he was just able to flip him over, and he flips him over, and he clearly, like, I'm telling you, anybody from like the run-of-the-mill street off the street or your local bar could have locked in this rear naked choke submission. And like he like jumps on the dude's back. He goes, Nah, I'm just gonna.
He had no idea. He had no idea what he was doing, bro. I remember that.
Funny, dude. That's why I think he's just gonna knock him out. It's like
I'm gonna have to check that shit out.
he might just get submitted like in 45 seconds, and we're like, "Fuck, man," because I don't think he knows what a submission is. Of like, obviously they probably have definitely trained takedown defense and stuff like that, but moment of the speed of the moment and stuff like that. UFC debut. Granted, you're back in Apex, but I thought the Dana White Contender Series fight was a very encouraging sign of like there's two versions of the Dana White Contender Series.
In the sky, I can go twice as high. Take a look, it's in a book.
They give you your Bo Nickel fights, where is prime, you getting the highlight reel package, and the shit's going on social media. And then there's the we like you, but dude, your Tapology record looks fake as fuck. Can you fight 3 rounds for us, please, and then we'll sign you? And like that's what they did with Musayev. Like they gave him like any grappler that was half decent, and it was like you're not gonna knock this guy out, but can you win a decision? And he was able to win a decision. I think Danny's right. They're gonna try to start.
Yeah, dude. He's another thing is Vera's 11 years older, bro. This is such a subtle fight, in my opinion.
Billy's tangent moment brought to you by your local bodega. That was your tangent moment of the. It was a shorter one. You didn't go on a long run, probably because someone else is here. Usually, when it's me and you'll go into the. This is one of those things where, and then you go into your dissection. Sometimes it has an extreme amount of value, and sometimes I don't even know if it makes a podcast. But I love you, Billy. I love you. Now. I'm going to dig into my final spot, and I really want your guys' takes on this because this is a line I just think that is off. And this is a guy that I actually followed a little bit outside of the UFC because I sort of liked his tape. Man's coming from Spain, and he's just a huge dog right now. I don't understand it. It doesn't really make sense to me. I think there's a little bit of vividness and recency bias mixed in here. We got Andre Lima going up against Daniel Barras, and Barras right now can be had for like plus 235, plus 250 on some books in that price range. And I'm a little bit confused by the line. And I get that, Lima, there's this idea of how he's finished guys, and we're looking at a submission potential loss. This is the only thing I can think why the line is the way it is. But my issue is this. If you look at these lines, or if you look at this, outside of the UFC, Barras has a way better, fight, not even record level. He's been fighting some decent guys outside of the UFC. He's got solid striking. They're about the same reach advantage. Barras has the volume advantage. Barras also has the takedown advantage, and his takedown defense in the UFC is 92%, but outside of the UFC, it's solid as well too. He's not a guy that gets submitted really, unless we're looking at his last fight. Except in his last fight, if you want to really talk about that honestly, he's going up against a guy his second last fight against Filho. Filho is basically a neck choke artist. He is a neck choke pro. He will land any kind of neck choke, whether it's rear naked choke. As soon as he gets to your neck, he'll set up your arm triangles. He'll set up multiple different ways. The point is, some people, when they get to your neck, they know how to position their wrists, get it on there, get the pressure in, and leverage that elbow up in there and really sink in whatever they need to. So that isn't the same fighter he's fighting. Although, I get that Barras coming in against Lima. Lima does he does like sort of, there is a little bit of submission threat there, but I just don't see it for as far as the line. It just doesn't make sense to me. I think this is two guys that aren't at the highest level in the UFC. We've seen this time and time again, where you have two guys with the lines really wide. Some like casuals don't even know who they are. And there's a lot of its lines just should be a lot closer. And so for me, I don't know if I'm going to attack this live. I don't know if I'm just going to attack it right now. But I just don't know what we're talking about. I know the other guy has submissions. I know that Lima has been bitten. That's great. But I think there's just a lot of how people saw his fights go. And then the Barras losing that submission recently, that the line is the way it is. What do you guys think of this one?
I could go first real quick. Yeah, I agree. At first, I still do agree. I think this is wide for sure. But one thing I look at, if you remember, Barras cast as an underdog. It was a small underdog spot in his last fight. And when I see somebody's next fight and he's fighting a big favorite, for me, that's a stay away. But lately, I've only done it once with Hasperat. I bet the spread. Love that spot. Should have went even way heavier on that. And then I was looking at Marshall too, and I thought it was a trap just because it was even money. And look, that one cashed too. This one I'm thinking about the spread because Barez.
Let's go.
He tends to slow down a little bit later in fights. Lima's low volume. Motherfucker is a cheater. He be grabbing the cage. Anyway, he could win.
He is such a fucking cheater. I'm taking the point deduction is going to be my prop of the week on this.
That's
the crazy
another
prop.
thing. So I might look at the spread to see what number is at, and I might bet that.
Dude, that's brilliant because if you look at what I said, I think that Barez doesn't get submitted. And I think that both these guys are going to strike on the feet. You may see takedowns both ways. And I think Barez will be cleaner on the takedowns if he gets them. But the reality of the fact is the spread actually may be the way to attack this.
Yeah, because like you said, like Lima don't have submissions, and Barez kryptonite is submissions. He lost 3 times by some sub. So I think it's going to be a close decision.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's I definitely like that. I think that might be the way to attack it. I think that's where the value will lie. It's just like I said, the line is too wide. And for those of you that are on, this side of Lima, I fully get it. The guy does have value there, and I fully can see it's sort of a pick 'em in my opinion, or at least maybe a minus 150 to whatever. But the reality is I just think it should be a lot closer than it is. And I'm gonna maybe look at that spread play. That is a great way to attack it. Haven't been on DraftKings a lot lately, so that's maybe why I haven't really thought about that. But yeah, man, I'm thinking I might go that way. Billy, what do you think?
I kind of am with Danny with the spread, but I think you're on the right side of like going dog or pass on that one because I tried to fade Andre Lima a couple of times, but I don't want to, or not a couple of times. The time that he got his arm, I kind of feel fraud vibes on him. But he is a good striker and he has good cardio, so he's going to win these like lower level fights. Can Barez be of a better level? I don't know, but I my question for you boys, for a bonus round here is, what do you guys think about the Dubin and Carly Judas fight? Dubin, to remind your memory, was the girl that was the biggest underdog in Dana White Contender Series history, and she knocked out the Canadian girl Shannon Clark, that was the LFA female fighter or fan fighter of the year or whatever, and she knocked her out in one of the most like craziest clips ever. It's one of those fights that at first when you think you're gonna stay off, and then you see plus 400, it's like damn. And Carly Judas is not no minus 350 favorite over anybody. And I don't know, man. Carly Judas, like this is low level as low level can come. Like Carly Judas is 3-2, and this girl's 6-0, and fought one fight in the last like probably like 5 years. But damn, did she look good in that one fight though?
That was a crazy upset. Contender Series, the knockout, like it was insane. She went out on her feet on her way down to the mat. She was already out. And like I said before, kind of like the Barez fight, like, huge upset, and now you're in the UFC as a big underdog again. Maybe not the same price, but still a big underdog. I like Judas. I actually like Judas. I like her striking. I think she gets it done. People are gonna see that highlight a big upset knockout in her Contender Series, and throw a little.
You gotta tread lightly on that though. I know you guys are high on Judas. I know you guys are high on Judas.
Not high. I would say she should win this fight.
But let me shit on the Canadian a little bit here, and I'll be careful because if I run into her at anywhere around here, because she's not far around here, I'll get fucked up by her. Cause she is a beast. But Clark is like, the striking is it's just not good. I can say that, and it's just not good. It's wide open. She marches forward. She's that girl that will powerbomb you in a bar parking lot, but she's not necessarily high level MMA. She doesn't have technique or whatever else. But still, at this level, Judas handled her and everything else. But yeah, she's not very good. That line was wide for like some weird LFA setup fights. She was set up with some nice situations in LFA and sort of ragdoll girls and whatever else. But her strike is so bad. Anyway, I digress.
LFA
fights.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know too much about the fight. I just know that Clark is. I'm gonna get my ass beat up here. I'm gonna get my ass beat north of the border.
That might be the worst MMA parlay of all time. 2-leg parlay of Shannon Clark and Will Curry.
Oh God.
Who did that?
Who do you think?
You have that documented? Do we have a clip of that?
The Dana White Contender Series, whatever fucking week it was. Some of big Will Curry.
Yeah, it's horrible. But I just love the volume of Judas, bro. Like, I think she should get this done for sure.
Okay. Any other fight? Any other spots you guys want to talk about leading into? I mean, the only other fight I was going to sort of talk about, and the line was really wide, was Damon Blackshear, and you've already brought that one up. That was another spot I was looking at to find some kind of an angle on, but staying off that. I mean, we could just jump right into it.
And we'll break it all down every night in Toronto's shining light.
And build the parlay and either go one of two ways, guys. And the lines won't necessarily be out if we build it one way, but we can go with a fight to start round 2 parlay if we can't agree on a 3-piece parlay money line. Fight to start round 2 parlay is pretty easy to hit on, and we won't even know what the lines are. And I don't care if it's a little bit chalk because a lot of the time that cashes. But let's look at some money line spots if you guys want to just take a look. If anybody already has their spot lined up, you can you start off if you want to.
Yeah, I'll throw mine. I'm gonna go with the heavyweight, Dejar. The one I already have him in my 2-legger. I'm picking him just because he's a little bit more better price than Bejalos. But yeah, I think he gets it done. So that'll be my piece for sure.
I don't want to. I was say Damon Black.
Okay, no, I like it. I'm with it. It's okay because you talked about the spot. We didn't know how you were going to bet it, and then when you put it into the parlay, it makes complete sense. Both you guys are using your parlay pieces from other things and putting them into this parlay, so I'm with it. Then I'm just going to be the asshole. I'm going to make it real nice, but I'm going to set you up with a hedge. So
that's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah, hell yeah. We're gonna go with the main event. We're just gonna go with Marvin Vettori at like -140. That's gonna boost the parlay up. If Billy, if you could put that together to see what that is. I just think why not set the hedge up? I could start to, pull apart and see like what the -300 if there's value in it, but I don't want to lose on a parlay to a -300 fight that, I don't have full investment in. I think that 9 times out of 10 Vettori wins, even maybe 10 times out of 10. I just think that Dolidze is going to be behind all the time. I think Vettori's got a brick head, and until we see something different, I'm going to bet on it.
No, we all agree with that. So that's a perfect 3-legger.
So
we agree.
What are we looking at? What are we looking at? I like it.
+184 is the
+184. We have Dyer. I can't even say his damn last name. I don't know in front of me right now. It'll be in there. It's okay. We're just a bunch of ignorant assholes. We have Damon Blackshear. I can say that, and then we have Marvin Vettori for the anchor, and it is +184. I mean, it stretches right across the whole card, which is great. So sometimes you have the early prelim parlays, whatever, but it's going to be a 3-legger that stretches across the board. I don't like 3 legs, but this one's not too bad. I think if we get that first out of the gate, I'm happy.
I might just throw a unit on it or whatever, but I think that catches for sure.
Yo, the market is about the good old-fashioned 2 legs. Yo, they're really whacking these price tags out where you gotta go 3 legs on the cards.
Yeah,
like, on the
you're
paper,
almost forced to.
And props too. They make you look at props and things like that.
Just doing the percentages of it. Like, let's say you're picking a 3-leg parlay, and then you run 2 more legs off of that. And there's only 10 fights in the card, but you got to be correct completely on 50% of the fights on the whole entire card, and that's very hard to do. Like being the best gambler isn't
Billy. Now you know my struggles with boxing sometimes.
Yeah, gambler's not hitting about the most amount of picks. It's about just hitting on the bets that you need to hit and just hitting on the right spots. Like so many times.
That's a great thing to bring up, Mr. Boxing. I have a question for you. Dana White going to Saudi Arabia, getting this going. Maybe starting a new chapter in boxing, or maybe not at all. Maybe it's just a bunch of smoke and mirrors. That's why I want to ask you. Because for me, watching boxing, there's so many promoters, divisions, guys can't get together and agree on fights because there's so many guys, so many cooks in the kitchen. With this happening, I think it potentially, in my opinion, could unify boxing in a way that these two could really push and put out big money. But talk to me. You're the pro. Talk to me about this shit. I'm excited about it.
I'll be honest, though. Obviously, I'm a UFC boxing guy, but Dana White doing this, he just wants, he wants the bag. He see Turkey out of Sheik making all this money. Turkey, he's already doing it. Turkey, the last 3 years, Turkey out of Sheik has been making all these great fights, the ones that everybody wants to see, giving them crazy amount of money. He's got almost all the companies under his roof, so that's why he can make these fights. You know, every promotion gets a certain amount, and Dana White, smart businessman, is gonna go be in there. He's got his own guys. He's got Callum Walsh and things like that.
Yep.
So I'm excited to see what he's got planned, because I don't know exactly how that's gonna work. Because
yeah, I'm interested, like, how much he's really going to take part in it. Like, is he going to be involved in a lot of the planning, or is he just going to sort of be this figurehead glue thing like he is for the UFC, where they put him on press conferences? Because that has value in itself. Yeah. He'll legitimize boxing on a fan base that normally doesn't watch it. He'll bring eyes to it, and I want to see it.
I think he's still going to do his own thing. Obviously with Turkey had to seek some help and stuff like that, but he, some of his boxing, or most of his boxing, is in the UFC Fight Pass and things like that. So he'll probably still have his own shows, just different and better matchups, in my opinion. But we'll see.
I'm excited for it, man. Being a boxing fan for a long time, I spent when I first got into MMA, one of my best friends was an MMA fighter out of Ontario, and he spent time training, most of his career out of Grant Brothers, which is a huge boxing gym in Montreal and Toronto. So I got to see some big time pro boxers come through, and they would run gauntlets on these MMA fighters. And you would have boxers go in and they would do rounds. You'd have Sean Pearson, former MMA fighter, UFC fighter out of Toronto, and you'd have boxers just round by round go in to fight the wrestler to force him in his stand-up and get him better. So I'm happy to see that boxing is turning a corner, even before the whole Dana White thing. It really is turning a corner as far as being out there, and people really are starting to take notice. So, but if I lose more money on a Serrano fight, I'm going to fucking lose it because she won that last
They're going to fight again.
I know. Yeah, and I'm going to bet her again.
I love watching them fight. I could watch them fight like 10 times.
Yeah.
I love watching them fight.
A lot of animosity, a lot of high-level technique. All of it comes together. It's just a good story.
And it's always the same great fight. Close-ass, great, high-volume. Like, my boy, I was in New Orleans for that fight because I went to a Browns game.
PDT was a little fucking dirty, though.
The headbutts, yeah. She fights like that, though.
Fucking Irish,
the funny thing is, my buddy, he doesn't really watch boxing, but I'm like, they're gonna early in that fight, I'm like, you get this a lot with the southpaw orthodox, the headbutts, cuts and stuff like that, and especially if somebody's dipping her head the way that Taylor does, you're gonna get that. But I can't wait. I'll watch it again, even though it's 0-2, it should be 1-1. But
speak of dip in the head, if Fiziev would just have thrown a knee up the middle, I wouldn't have cashed a dog ticket last night. Because that shit was like, even someone who doesn't know fighting knew that you should throw a knee there. But I mean, once you're in it, you're in it. But damn. All right. Well, I think we've dug into a bunch of spots. Danny, it's been awesome to have you on. I know that you're over at Pub Sports Radio, and we've been talking about your boxing show as well too. Hopefully, you and I can connect on that as well too, and do some stuff for you. Tell us where we can find you, and then Billy, I'll let you do a little outro, and we'll kick it out.
Yeah, just follow me on Danny Betzz with 2 Z's on IG, TikTok, and Twitter X. I'm more active on Twitter X and IG. Of course, Pub Sports Radio. I got our boxing shows on Tuesdays at 7:30 Eastern with me and Preston, always breaking down the best fights.
And what's the name of the show?
The Main Event.
There we go.
It's called The Main Event on Talking Hands, and we break down, give you our best props or bets for every fight. Not a huge card this weekend, but I'm pretty confident of who I got to win this fight.
Throw us a lead out here for the MMA fans who don't know shit.
Nick Ball is gonna fight this weekend. He's a big favorite. He's like minus 1,200. But he's a wrecking ball. He's short. He's small for the weight class, but he's one of those guys that throws a lot of volume, has power in his hands.
Lock?
I think the what?
Lock? Like lock. No
he's gonna win.
Okay, so he's like the base for a very chalk parlay.
I know Billy likes that with her. I gave you what, a minus 400 that she went easily in this past Saturday. But I think he definitely wins in this spot, and I think he's gonna get a knockout. I don't know what my bet is yet. I got to still break down his opponent. I know about him. I just got rewatch some of his fights and things like that, but definitely gonna get a knockout. Maybe 7-12 is gonna be my bet for that one.
And Billy,
you said Callum Walsh, right?
Yeah.
The what?
No, what, that the play there? No.
No, that was Nick Ball. I was saying that's why I was talking about Dana White. You know, he's got
Walsh also fights this weekend.
This weekend, yeah.
Midnight. I was eyeing that one up. It's already minus 1,000. But if Dana White is your manager and he's the only boxing person that he's managing, but imagine they're setting this kid up for wins. And his girlfriend is Tabitha Ricci. So
people are parlaying Callum Walsh with soccer and shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you could. There's going to be so many basketball games.
In this case, UFC.
Fights and stuff like that. You could spin out a 5-leg parlay.
Callum Walsh, Damon Blackshear, Jose Nunez. Anyway,
college basketball in there.
For Billy Briz of Pub Sports Radio, for Danny Betzz of Talking Hands and Pub Sports Radio, I'm Callum McGregor. Tune into the Donttap podcast.
Tune into the Donttap podcast.
Donttap podcast.
You do the process, the tape, the study, the narrative, the script.
And a little bit of a downfall from a champ.
When we're looking at value on the lines.
That definitely, I think, in some of the handicappers I talked to, has influenced the gambling line.
Appreciate that. I'm sorry what I'm going to have to do to you in this little matchup we got.
Thank you. I was going to say, okay, enough niceties. Let's dig in.
He can pressure in the first.
Reading rainbow, butterfly in the sky. I can go twice.